Hello guys, I have Siddharth and Deep with me. We're going to be
Hi.
discussing beauty. Okay, we're going to be discussing beauty standards. We're going to be discussing boys in beauty. We're going to be discussing internet comments. We're going to be discussing how this journey has been for you with regards to like brands and acceptance and acceptance from family and acceptance from friends and acceptance from your following online, etc., etc. Right? Because this panel wouldn't have been possible even 5 years before. Like I wouldn't have imagined it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have imagined it at all. But given that most iconic makeup artists have been men, you know, like the legendary, makeup artists, whether it's in India, even like internationally, there have been iconic women, obviously, but a lot of men have worked in the industry, right? And sort of have defined the generation of beauty. And maybe they weren't online, right? We don't know them from online, but we know them from the pages of the magazines. We know them from newspaper. We know them from, like they were like legend, like, stories you get to hear, right?
Yeah.
What you guys are doing is basically playing it out online. You're playing it out all for the audience to watch, to criticize, to comment, to love, hate in equal measure, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to start with Deep and then go to Sid. Deep, when you started doing this, right? How was it for you? What made you start? What were you doing before you started? Before you became a full-fledged beauty creator. And in very short, like if you can tell us a little bit about the journey.
I was working with a sustainable fashion brand for a good 7 months until the pandemic hit. Like on the side, I was also doing makeup, but I wasn't like creating content specifically. I was just doing it because I enjoyed it and like people enjoyed me doing makeup. But there was a time in November of 2019 when I had to decide whether I want to continue in fashion or whether I want to get full-fledged into social media, because 2019 end was that period where social media was just started to really grow in terms of creating content. So I had to make that choice whether, if fashion is my calling or if this is my calling. And I switched from being a fashion designer to creating like full-time content in November of 2019, because it just made me really happy and it kept my creative juices flowing. I wasn't working under somebody. It was not someone else's thought process. It was not someone else's creative process. I had the full creative freedom to do whatever I wanted on my face. Nobody was telling me what to do. Nobody was telling me what colors to use. So that is how I switched from fashion to creating beauty content on Instagram.
That's very cute, huh? This idea of freedom, I think it's very, very interesting. Sid, for you, you do full-fledged fashion content, right? So I want to know your switch from your having a desk job for a bunch of years and then suddenly just making content, and how was that process for you?
I think it was a plunge that I was trying to make for a long time, but I just didn't have the courage to do it, honestly. I think the whole intent when you move from a desk job to, something that is completely your own, like a business, I think the biggest fear that you have is, what if I don't make money 1 month? So I think that was the biggest insecurity that I had. But I think one fine day I just like regained the courage and I said, let me just do it. What's the worst? And I think what was the worst for me was the plunge happened in the lockdown, where literally businesses were shut, things were shutting down, creators were not making money. And I said, I think there is no better time. I'm anyway not doing anything with the company that I was working for before this, because things were running very slow. And I was continuing to create content with the company anyway. I mean, maybe for brands, maybe for the editorial publication, for, the covers or anything like that. I realized, why don't I just start creating videos of my own? I'm just sitting at home. I'm idle. Let me just start creating some stuff. And I think that's how it just felt organic to me, where I felt like I anyway have nothing else to do. Let me just put my phone in front and start creating videos. And now when I look back at the lockdown content, I'm like, okay, that was cringe. There was no production value. There was nothing to it. But I'm just glad I took the plunge and got over that fear of not making money a certain month and feeling insecure financially. And now I'm here. I'm just continuing to do what I'm doing. I'm constantly investing more and more in my business. Beauty per se, I would say it happened through a conversation with a friend from Pune who's actually seen me grow from college. We were talking about makeup and I said, I've used a concealer. I've used my mom's foundation. I've used brushes. I've tried to like fiddle around with her makeup box. And he said, okay, that's amazing, but I have no idea about what these things are. Like, what are you talking? These words are alien to me. And I think that's when I realized that I should just drop a video and see how it performs. You know, are people able to resonate with it? Do they feel like, so I didn't want to really drive a conversation with the video that I wanted to drop. I wanted to sort of just put my makeup routine out there in very plain, simple terms for people like the friend I'm talking to understand what beauty was. So yeah, and the rest is I'm continuing to do what I'm doing. That's all.
That's very interesting. And I have actually known Sid for years now.
Too long.
And it's interesting to see, you know, this idea of beauty evolve with, you know, you guys and so many other creators, right? And people say, oh, this is new. But I want to remind everyone that actors, male, like
I was just going to say that,
have been wearing full face makeup, foundation, concealer, contour, everything for what? Like centuries now, right?
Yeah.
They have been doing makeup. They have been putting like, you know, they have been drawing their abs. They have been drawing like features that they don't have on their face. So it's not makeup for men. It's not a new thing. It's not like you guys woke up and just invented it and be like, oh, today we'll just invent makeup for beauty for boys. It's not. It's been there forever, right? It's actually quite mainstream.
Yeah.
Right? It's just not mainstream in a way that people will do it, right? But like say, I keep going 5 years ago, like the idea of sunscreen for boys is also not very like hip, right? I mean, it was unheard of. Like people just wouldn't do it. People just wouldn't take that, you know, effort, right? And then suddenly everything changed, right? People started putting more effort. Whether it was, you know, them seeing, because our advertising hasn't changed per se, right? The advertising of beauty for men hasn't changed. So why do you think, by your experience, why do you think, say, you know, whether it's cishet, whether it's cisgender, why do you think boys have started putting more effort towards, you know, skincare and makeup? I mean, makeup is too far to say, but like, say, even skincare, like, say, even just putting on foundation, even just putting on sunscreen, even just putting on moisturizer. Why do you think there has been this conscious shift in this whole skin sort of?
You know, I know this will sound really shallow, but lately everything in the last at least 2 years that I have been on the internet, everything has become of face value now.
Yeah.
So what you look like has become such importance these days. I think that is why people are more invested in themselves, especially men, because now when even on dating apps, I have seen on like my friends, most of my girlfriends who, you know, are on dating apps, they keep having conversations with guys that, oh, you know, they use this sunscreen, they use so and so. You know, so the conversation is happening because everything now is all about face value, however shallow it sounds. So I think that is why it's happening. And also people are getting more self-aware of sun damage, pollution damage, and how aging can fasten. Because if you don't take care of your skin, you will have wrinkles, your pores will enlarge, etc., etc. You know, so there are a lot of issues that, because internet is so easily accessible now, and because people are creating helpful, useful content, more men are aware about what could happen earlier if not taken care of.
Correct. Sid, for you,
I think personally what I've experienced, so especially with the cishet community, that's something that I can speak for, honestly, is I think men overall used the aspect of vanity or as an aspect of looking good as a sense of humor. I think for the longest time, it's a thing of the community that they find it a joke. You know, when someone's trying to look better, they're like, oh, really? Like, you want to look better? Like, you're a man. You know, that whole humor angle that goes into it. But what also exists parallelly is that men are, like everyone else in the world, no matter where you come from, what you identify as, are very, very, very concerned about how they look. They've always been very concerned about how they look. However, the only way they work is when they're a little bit of a part of the herd. They have the herd mentality. They like for people to speak about it first and then they follow. It's just how the male community works, is what I have experienced in my past few years. So I think that's really changed the game for beauty for men primarily, I would say, because they've seen more and more people who are like them talk more about it. So they felt like, okay, this is something that's being normalized. So, okay, great, let's try it. They also know that it's nothing new, but it's just a normalization from people who they are, well versed with, people they look up to, people that are part of their community. It could be like anyone in their friend circle, anyone, literally, not even just on the internet. I think men literally wait, can we just say it? Men literally wait for things to be normalized. And that's when they'll begin. It's a problem. I don't think it's something to be proud of. It's a problem. Why can't you just wake up and do your thing? Why do you wait for people to do things for you to do it? So
but
I think it's just...
I think something very interesting that you said. Apart from the humor quotient of, just the straights, the heteros, right? It was also kind of like closeted grooming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Behind closed doors.
It was like if I am a cishet male and I am endorsing grooming and skincare, products, sunscreen openly, it was considered effeminate. It was considered like it makes you, I'm going to just say it like kind of gay, right? And I have seen that. I have a lot of friends who are who identify as hetero, right? And I've seen that with them, and I've seen that their evolution of being and seeming and thinking skincare and taking care of themselves and beauty and grooming is kind of sort of gay or kind of in that territory to completely embracing it, right? This shift has happened in the last couple of years, right? And it's a very interesting shift where they are now doing multiple steps in their routine. But it's a very important transition that I've seen. In fact, I met somebody at some event the other day, and they were wearing full face foundation, and I was just like, girl, I was like, you were giving, honey. It's like full face foundation. And I was like, you can tell, if you can tell somebody's skin is just moisturized, and you can tell somebody's skin has full face foundation. So it's interesting, and I would say, like Sid said, it is normalized and it's a good time to live. No, things have to be normalized and things have to be accepted. And this is not even like a big deal. It's like skincare. It's like you taking care of your own skin, right? Now I'll come to makeup. That is the tougher question and the tougher sort of angle to get around. Like, what is the kind of reaction, we'll start with Sid, when you did your first makeup, full-fledged makeup? And I don't want the positive, I want you to give me like what, because we all of us just shove the hate under the carpet, right? What were the negative things that people said?
It's tough too, but we try to shove it.
Yeah, I mean, we have to do it, right?
It's really tough.
But what were the negative things people said when you did your first beauty makeup video or makeup things that you sort of...
Right. Honestly, it was the usual. There was nothing groundbreaking, I would say. The usual was, oh, you're a man, you're doing makeup, or, people are using gay as a slur. I don't get this at all. People questioning my sexuality, and which is honestly, I am so self-aware of where I've been brought up in a country like India, where people are not educated and informed enough of such things, that it honestly didn't affect me so much, because I'm very, I'll be honest, guys, and I think you guys would really understand it. I've learned so much from people who have had makeup and beauty as part of their existence, as opposed to someone like me who's like to experiment with it. Experimenting with it and being questioned for it on the internet, to me, is not a big deal. For years, I have almost found my problems to be irrelevant, especially when it comes to makeup and beauty. I feel that my problems are not relevant at all. Makeup to me is something that I just use. But for someone whose existence is that he sort of like identifies with a certain product, and like he just wants to wear foundation every day, or he wants to wear concealers every day. For me, it's a part of my content. It's a part of something that I just go out and use. It's a very occasional activity for me. So I honestly would say that I've almost forgotten the hate that people send to me, because I just don't find it relevant anymore to even discuss, to be honest. But it's the usual. We're all aware of the usual hate that comes along.
That's interesting. Deep, for you?
So more than me, it was directed towards my family, especially my father, because people questioning my father's masculinity on where he went wrong in raising me, what my parents did wrong, what will my extended family think of my family, of my parents, and stuff like that. It was more directed towards them, which I didn't agree with, because they should not be questioned over something that does not matter to the audience.
Yeah.
Right? They're only seeing me. They're not seeing my parents. They don't know what my parents look like, right? So who are you to question my parents' ability to raise a child? They've raised two really great kids who are really independent at a really young age. What are you doing? Sitting behind a keyboard making hateful comments on somebody else who's successful? Like, that's really messed up, So that was primarily the majority of hate that I was getting initially, apart from ye to gay hai, ye chaka hai, all those slurs that are thrown at queer kids, openly queer kids. So it was just really upsetting to see my parents getting involved into this, because they have nothing, they don't want to be a part of it, right? It's just not fair to them.
At all. Yeah.
At all. And like Sid said, right, for him, it's more of a professional thing. For someone like me, it's a lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
I choose to live a life where I want to express myself with the help of makeup. And there are other people also who use makeup as a lifestyle. There are drag queens, there are trans women, so many other gay men. And then you're literally like trying to invalidate someone's existence by showing hate. It just doesn't make sense to me.
And this is very interesting because it's like two aspects, right? Here we have someone like Sid who has gotten the hate, but who uses makeup and beauty and more at a professional sort of standpoint, right? And then you have Deep, who it is a part of your life, right? It's a part of who you are. And I think both are okay. We have to come
very valid.
We have to come to a point. Like, I have been part of many of these, like queer baiting, this channel, that, whatever. And, Harry Styles is constantly brought into the mix. David Bowie is constantly brought into the mix. But it's like, how can you stop anyone from expressing themselves with makeup? How can you do it? Isn't that what is the main idea behind makeup? Wasn't that the main idea behind beauty being inclusive, right? And at first I was just say, okay, there is some merit in the whole, people sort of, people sort of who wear it get beaten, queer kids get beaten or bullied, or, before wearing makeup, etc., etc. And I completely understand that, and I completely agree and accept that. But however, how can you then stop anybody, of any sexuality to express themselves with makeup? Isn't that completely cancelling out the whole idea of the queer, what queers fought for? It's like anybody can express themselves anyhow they want to, right? So I know, Sid, you have been a part of it, and Deep, you have also been a part of it, both conversations, right? What was your POV regarding this, that people should be allowed to express on the internet or anywhere, matter of fact?
I actually think that no matter what you have to work with. I mean, it could be beauty, it could be skincare, it could be anything. I don't understand why there's so much of conversation on usage. I mean, for one person, it could be a way to sort of, feel confident on a certain day. It could be, for someone, it could be a way to sort of conceal their emotions. When I go out and I'm having a terrible day, I'm mostly found with blush on almost every day. I do not step out of the house without blush. It's a thing. And I've never actually spoken about it, but I always wear blush. I'm still wearing it. So it's just something I enjoy doing and I like to go out with it. And for someone, it's a way to express themselves. It's a form of art. I actually don't understand that. Why is there conversation on the usage of a product?
Yeah.
It's about application. Let's talk of application. Let's talk of the basics there. I mean, how to use a concealer or how to use a blush. I think that's more important as opposed to, so you can only use it for, doing something on your face or just something to conceal a pimple or anything. I actually don't understand this concept, so to say. Concept of usage.
More than that, it's also like, if you use it, you have to be queer.
Yeah.
Or if you wear this, you have to belong to this.
Yeah.
Or if you're wearing blush, you have to belong. You are this. You can't be anything else. No way. We will not allow you to be anything else. You're wearing blush. You have to be part of the community. No, you don't. You don't.
Yeah.
I think the society has become so used to putting people in boxes that anyone tries to step out of it is a black sheep or outcasted or, just thrown so much hate towards because, oh, how dare you be so independent? Oh, how dare you be so self-aware that you move out of a box that you're placed in? And there was this one really, it's a sentence that consists of 4 words. It says, stop labeling and start living. And I live by it ever since I heard it in 2012. And it made so much difference to my life that my brain will not care of what you have to say about where I stand or where I belong in terms of fitting in a box, because there is no box for me to fit.
Where are
the boxes? It's such a small box. I cannot contain myself in that small of a box.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
It's actually tough for me to figure out the bubble I'm sitting in right now. Forget the boxes, that's tough.
But it was very interesting. Bianca Del Rio said something in season 6. I still remember. She said, I'm a man in a wig. It's not that deep. He's like the worst thing that can, it's like, this is not prison. It's like, I'm man in a wig. Right? And I love how drag race has also evolved, right? To include trans girls and even internet. Like, I'm seeing trans creators, I'm seeing cishet creators, I'm seeing cis creators, I'm seeing all kinds of creators blossom, right? And I think, as somebody who's worked in incubating talent and as somebody who's worked in this space, there is room for everyone.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that if a Sid is existing, Deep cannot exist, right? Is that Sid is eating away Deep's pie of work. It doesn't work like that. For people who don't know the industry, it doesn't work like that.
Social media, you have to share space. There's no other way.
That is true.
That's the only way to exist. That's the only way to exist.
Yeah. You have to share space. You have to collaborate. You have to, there's enough and more work for
just learn to be appreciative of other people. That's all.
Absolutely.
Just be appreciative of what they're doing, because it is something that you may or may not be able to do at the same time.
Yeah.
Or reach more people that you are currently unable to reach.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah. 100%. We have to come to, I don't know if we're going to ever come to a point where everybody's going to be okay with everyone, but I feel there is conscious, people are trying now that, brands are trying, speaking, and I want to speak about brands a little bit right now, where what has been good and bad experience working with beauty brands in India with regards to, boys in beauty, right? Because I know a lot of people want to do it. Some people have done it really well. Some people haven't done it really well. So what has been your experience? We'll start with Deep, because there's a lot to say, and then we'll go to Sid.
So I'll talk about the good first. The good is that brands really appreciate your work. Some brands appreciate your works also. And it's really a wholesome feeling when a brand that is as established as, say, MAC or Too Faced or Bobbi Brown, all these international brands that weren't easily available in India, they're willing to work with you. Even smaller brands, like smaller Indian brands who come from places that you have never even heard of or thought of, or were made to believe that they're not really nice places in terms of LGBTQI plus friendly, So it's great that they're very appreciative and supportive of queer creators, but at the same time, as there is good, there is also a lot of bad. Okay, so essentially for most brands, I'm a trophy, like they use me as a trophy, like a token representation of, yes, we're queer friendly, we support the LGBTQI plus community, etc., etc. These same brands will send out, say, 10 products to these female beauty content creators, whereas I will receive 3 or 4, like the leftovers that everybody else has gotten, but I will get the leftovers. That has happened multiple times. Even now, this happened 2 weeks ago, where a brand reached out to my agency and they somehow missed addresses, and I got a girl's parcel and the girl got my parcel, right? So obviously I opened, she also opened, and then we had to switch. Like I had to send her parcel and she had to send me my parcel. So I saw the number of products she got. She saw the number of products I got. We both took it up to the agency saying, what the fuck is this, So brands are still doing this shady business and expect us to believe that, oh, this is not happening. They're very ethical. They're not biased. They're not homophobic, stuff like that. It's still very unfair. And even if you look at in terms of, say, numbers, right? You look at queer creators and you look at cis-het creators, right? You will see a discrepancy in numbers, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it is true. It is there. So it's a very unfair space, but at the same time, brands are really supportive. I will not say brands not supportive. They will help you out with whatever you want. They will be kind and understanding. They will listen to you. They will make sure that you are heard in a conversation. There have been brands, and these are not really big brands who let you do that. And I've realized that. So it's a double-edged sword. And don't even get me started when it comes to Pride Month. That is a different conversation.
That we will not talk about.
Yes.
That we will not address.
Yes. Thank you.
Sid, for you,
I think with brands, I actually have a lot of stuff to say. I think for me, when it comes to working with brands, considering I'm a very privileged human when it comes to beauty content on the internet, I definitely मैं ना नियत check करता हूँ brand की. मुझे बस नियत देखनी है. You come to me with a pitch saying, oh, you're the cis-het representation. Then we also have a queer person. Then we also have someone with a skin, issue. Then we also have someone who's dark-skinned. Then we also have someone who's fair-skinned. Then we also have someone who's an expert. If your pitch to me to bring me on board for this campaign is this, that I'm representing a certain category. If that's your pitch to me, तुम्हारी दाल में काला है कुछ. It is what it is. So I think the approach that a lot of brands are taking, I love the intent. I absolutely applaud them for the intent because I think it's taken them too many years to get here. But I think the pitch is so wrong because नियत दिख रही है कि है ही नहीं. वो actually because marketing trend है तो चलो कर लो. That's why they do it. Yeah. But I think great. I think at least there's some kind of change that we're seeing in how they approach campaigns. But I could give you an example of 2 grooming brands that I had worked with. Of course, I wouldn't take names. Jaan bachani hai, paise bachane hai. But both were grooming brands. I'm just talking of the approach the brands are taking. Number one, the first brand, I was wearing nail paint in the video. I was not given any guidelines on what the beauty look has to be or anything. It was basically a product which was not beauty, it was grooming. So it had nothing to do with how I'm looking, what my nails have or anything like that. The video was delivered to them. There were no guidelines on nails, beauty, face, nothing. It was just the product guidelines. And they come back and say that unfortunately, this does not align with our brand positioning. We would not want to see a man with nail paint holding a product. I said, okay, I understand. That's a very professional way to say it. I wish this was spoken to me earlier. I wish this was also not the case. But sure, but you would have to compensate me for my efforts. And they did. This was an international brand that also exists widely in India. Now, the second brand per se had the same issue with me. It was not a beauty brand, it was a grooming brand. And I was again wearing nail paint. And they just scrapped the entire video, saying that it was not sophisticated. I got on a call with the brand to understand where is the unsophistication and sophistication involved in this video. I want to grow, Why don't you help me grow? They said, actually, there are things that are not quintessentially seen on men and are, it's just not something that we're okay with. I said, is it something for your brand or is it something that you just personally don't like seeing on men? They said, it's just not something sophisticated for men. I said, number one, you got to pay me for a video, bro. But number two, this is not cool. So these are just two approaches from the same industry with two rival brands who dealt with the situation very differently. And I personally realized that through these two instances, I think there's a very big change that is required in the marketeers of these brands. We guys as creators can keep continuing to, talk of conversations that would help, go on about it. If these marketers don't understand it, they come with very old school thinking. So the one who called it unsophisticated was probably 50 plus. And the one who had a very business approach to it was probably in her 20s or 30s, I remember. I think marketing as a whole, I think we both would agree. All three of us would agree because we've been in the business for a while. I think influencer marketing also, so to say, with brands, it needs to grow up a little bit.
Yeah.
They need to think of newer perspectives to bring out. And niyat dikhni chahiye. Niyat dikhao.
I will also tell you an incident that happened with me in the very early stages of my content creation journey. This brand reached out to me and a bunch of other smaller creators, and they sent out products. The same thing happened. I did not get a lot of products. They got a lot of products. But here's the thing, right? When we posted videos, the brand did not reshare any of the other girls' videos, but they reposted my video on their page and ran ads on it. Right? To get that tokenism of, we're supporting the queer community, blah, blah, blah. And the next month, when they reached out again, they did not want to work with me at all for some reason. At all. They weren't willing to pay. They weren't willing to send me products. They're like, oh, you have products, use them, send us the video. And I'm like, what? Question mark, what? So it's just really, it's once they get their tokenism, they don't require you anymore.
Yeah.
And I've faced that a lot. It's unfair. No, but it's interesting, like, to see how brands, like Sid said, right? I don't think Sid, it is like it. I mean, it could be an age thing. It could be a generational thing. But I also think that it is a lot, like you said, it is a lot to do with what they're learning in, in these B schools, and then how they're applying, coming out in the world, whether they are part of the community, whether they have had queer friends growing up, whether they acknowledge the contribution of the community. It's, sometimes they will just do it, like Deep said, to, tick a box. And most times, when you're ticking a box, it's going to fall on the face, right? It's not going to happen. You will not be able to execute it. Your intentions were not to make a wholesome campaign. Your intentions were to tick a box. Your intention were to just do it for the,
and it shows.
It takes to steal goodness from queer creators, right? And to steal goodness from any creator that is actually, right? Instead of just making it sure that it's a collaboration and it's something that you are giving the creator the freedom to create, right? So it's interesting that brands are still evolving. You know, and like Sid said, creators can break their leg, give like blood, slit, like do whatever.
Nothing so.
Till marketers and brands actually evolve and till they actually come to a space where they understand and acknowledge, there'll be no change. Because we are a system that's heavily dependent on brands.
It's such a beautiful thing what Deep said, putting people in boxes and creating brackets. It's such a human induced concept that we've introduced. Like growing up, let me not disagree. Of course, I've been brought up in a place where makeup was not, my parents, of course, were supportive of the fact that I was using makeup, but it wasn't relevant at that point for me to use it. I wasn't told that growing up, I should be able to use it. Let's just twist the situation and say that I'm going to a Mac, so to say, and it's just an inclusive brand. I've been brought up in a place where the brands have decided that they're going to be inclusive and there's no boys section, there's no men's section, there's no section. There are no boxes and brackets. My life would have been so much different.
All of us.
So much different, honestly. It's such a beautiful thought. Like it's such a human-induced concept of brackets and boxes. But it doesn't need to exist. It's such a marketing technique, actually.
Yeah.
It's a marketing technique.
Yeah, it 100% will continue to exist. But people love to fit people. And also, as I think human nature, we love to be fitted in boxes. We are also happy being in a box and be like, oh, this is it doesn't threat anyone. It doesn't hurt anyone. Let us just be in our box and just be happy. So it's double-edged sword, right? To be in a box and whatever. Okay, so I'm just going to end it with a couple of thoughts. If you were to talk about your journey and if you were to talk about what you see yourself doing next in terms of beauty, right? What would it be for Sid and what would it be for Deep?
I definitely want to work with Deep in the future. I'm dying for you, Deep, to do something on me. So the next time I'm in Bombay, you have to your beautiful eyes that you do. I would love for you to do them on me. Besides that, I'm wanting to experiment a lot more with color. Now summer's here. I definitely want to experiment a lot more with that. I also want to bring the fox eyes in my existence. I want to start wearing them out when I go out. I'm starting to really enjoy fox eyes. So but in terms of content, I definitely want to break it down more and more for people. I have stopped posting beauty content. It's been a while. The reason's personal. But I definitely want to continue doing something that makes it easier for people to understand how to use it. Because I think I want to tackle the service angle to it in terms of beauty content. I want to sort of break things down for people. It really helps me. It helped me when I was growing as a creator doing beauty content. And I just hope to contribute it through and through for others.
Yeah, like simplify the easiest of techniques. Techniques that look tricky but aren't as tricky when applied.
And I don't want to use like these content tricks of certain videos. I feel like with beauty, you cannot do transitions all the time. You have to break it down. So I don't want to succumb to internet trends and transitions and audios that make me do a fantastic looking reel. That's going to help no one.
Correct.
It's just cool. I want to invest more time in service.
Funny that you said that because I was having this conversation on a different interview where they asked me why do I not create these transition reels, or when it's a tutorial, why do I not make it on reels? Because personally, I don't feel anybody's going to learn a beauty tutorial in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Right. One, you can't pause it where you want. You can't go back where you want to go back. It's just going to play on and on and on and on and on until, you get that in your head. So I really don't understand why a lot of these brands want to, get a beauty tutorial on a 30-second reel, which honestly, I wouldn't personally want to watch because I will learn nothing out of it except being visually amazed at how quickly they're doing a makeup, which honestly doesn't take 30 seconds.
Yeah.
The basic, it takes me 45 minutes to get the simplest of looks done.
I think it's all about balance, I feel, no? It's all about balance. I feel there's an audience for every kind of format, even on an Instagram platform or a YouTube format. I mean, some brands would want you to do something that's more transitional. They just want drama. They want drama. they want impact. And some of them want the person to go buy it at the store and actually use it on themselves. I think it's purely, I don't know, I could be completely wrong, but I personally feel that there's an audience for every kind of format.
Yeah, that's true.
But you know what Deep is trying to say is that, like how the beauty gurus do it on YouTube, right?
On YouTube,
The IGTVs.
Or even on IGTV, or even on IG, I feel like now you can do that whole pause. You can go with your video player, right?
Yeah.
I feel like stuff that you can do on a format that allows you to pause and replay, I think has its charm. Obviously, Reels has a different kind of charm, like you said.
I think beauty in general.
Yeah.
Beauty content, you need to pause because I think it's so much of like procedure and like precision.
You want to see what the person did, or you want to go back and see what they had done. I feel like it's an interesting POV. But
like it was, I remember when I think it's almost like 2.5 years back, I was posting. That's when I was actually trying to understand more about makeup and stuff. And it's such a beautiful learning experience for me because I started the series called Makeup Basics, which I literally took one product like a concealer or a beauty blender or anything. And I would just talk of things I didn't know, and so many of us didn't know, literally.
Yeah.
It's such a case study to have for things on the internet that it's important to actually allow for people to actually understand what you're doing. That has a larger audience.
100%. Deep, I just want to ask you, what do you see yourself doing more of? That is what you said you don't want to do, but more of.
I think I want to now get into more fashion content. I know it's like a really different category, but I post these stories of my outfits when I'm going out to meet friends, and people really enjoy that, right? I've seen a lot of shares, a lot of replies saying, "Oh, you know what you should do? You should post this. You should put yourself out there. Also try to do fashion stuff like that." But the thing is, I get really shy while taking my pictures as a whole. I'm okay with this much, this is good. Anything below that, how does my body work? I don't know. So I think that is one thing that I will try to, do moving forward. But other than that, I really want to get into sexual wellness in terms of gay sexual wellness, like gay men who, there is not a lot of content in terms of, or awareness in terms of HIV or STDs, or, even how to be good at bottoming, how to be good at topping, stuff like that. There's not a lot of content in India specifically. So that is one thing that I want to get into, but I just need to, it's a really tricky, it's a thin line, where it gets vulgar and where it doesn't get vulgar.
Yeah.
So I'm still trying to figure out that. I have a few videos ready, but I just need to understand what is decent and what is not decent.
But I feel like you have to commit to it. Like if you want to do it, you have to just commit to it and do it.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I know that Lisa does a wonderful job of what she's doing, right? And it's so well articulated. And that is one thing that I want to, if I do that kind of content, I want to be that articulate.
She's definitely become the benchmark in that space, huh? She's definitely.
Yeah.
For you guys, I know a lot of kids watch your content. What is that one advice that you would like to give?
Oh my.
A kid, sitting in say who's in, 19, 18, 17, 16-year-old kids are now doing content impeccably, right? But what is that one advice you would like to give someone who's trying to get into, being a beauty creator or a fashion creator?
I think I would definitely say begin. That's the toughest. It's the toughest for all creators. They just think, they start questioning themselves. They feel like, is it lame? Do people even care? Is it relevant? Do you think this is fun? Do you think am I important enough on the internet that people would care for my content? I think that kickstart, I think that's important. I think that's what I would tell anyone ever. And I'll continue to all the following years if I exist on the internet, that just never shy away from kickstarting. Once you begin, you yourself never stop unless you're burnt out. And then if you are, take a pause and then start again. That's all.
I think I would just tell people to be kind to themselves, because there are times when you're so hard on yourself. If a piece of content doesn't do great, you question yourself that, where did you go wrong? What is it that, instead of understanding what's going wrong, you try to criticize yourself and pull yourself more down than you already feel. And I think that's where a lot of creators go wrong in the sense of bringing themselves down when something doesn't work right. And I face this myself. I am going through that right now. But yeah, I think I would tell people to just be kind to themselves on the internet and kind to others on the internet.
I feel like three great takeaways here to start. I mean, you have to start the process to kickstart your journey, to be kind to yourself and to be kind to people on the internet.
Others.
That I think that's a great note to end this on. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for having us.
And yeah, I shall see you guys soon. And thank you for joining me.
Thank
Bye.
you for having us.
Thank you.
Bye.